Well, hello everyone, and guess what time it is? We are back for another Christmas in July sponsor spotlight. I am Elena Rodriguez. I am the founder of the Christmas in July 24-hour live global stream-a-thon, and I'm so excited to be able to be celebrating our 5th year, year number 5. Wow, it's just amazing. So 5 years ago, if you're new to Christmas in July, 5 years ago, I started this Christmas in July stream-a-thon because Christmas became a very different season for me after I lost my husband on Christmas Eve. And so what could have become a season of sadness year upon year upon year, it actually became an opportunity for me to create something that brings people together, that spreads kindness, hope, love, joy, inspiration, all the things, also supports small businesses and reminds us that hope and generosity don't have to wait for December. We can celebrate while we're sweating in the middle of July, right? So Christmas in July is my way of honoring the beauty of community, celebrating life, and proving that even our hardest moments can become something that blesses others. And so with this sponsor spotlight, I am honored to be able to introduce our Teal Santa. You will see him kick off the whole event once again this year as a huge supporter. And we've got David Chametzky. He could tell me if I say that right or wrong, but his businesses that we're going to talk about today is On the Path, New York, and Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat podcast. And I can't wait to hear more about that. So hello, David. How are you?
How are you doing, my friend, man? Really, I love celebrating this. Once I heard about it and celebrating you. I mean, I was just on a podcast mentioning about you, just the idea of the grace that you have and to be part of this type of event and to support really is so. It's one of the things that I love to do. If you remember last year when we kicked it off, I was doing another charity event.
Yes.
But I made sure that I helped kick it off. That I do because I feel that strongly about the mission that you have.
Thank you so much. Yes, you joined us live from the Ball Diamond.
Yep.
That was awesome.
I was in Lakeland. I was in Lakeland, New Jersey, with the Philadelphia Phillies organization, doing one of the Disability Dream and Do the D3 days, helping special needs children.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have a huge heart. So tell everybody who you are and where you're joining us from to begin with.
All right. Well, I'm Dave Chametzky, and I'm joining you from New York. If you didn't know from the accent, it is a New York accent. I actually live a little outside of New York City, but it's that idea. I talk a lot about New York, and we all give New York or even Philly a hard time, right? We have a lot of friends in Philly, which I always call South Brooklyn, right? But what it is that mentality of we all help each other. You're part of a family. Nobody can talk about you because not in front of me, and that's really what it is. That's what we do. And what I do is I help people align their message. When I first started the mental wellness side of the work that I do, that was the On the Path, right? Personal attitudes towards happiness. That's the path stands for. I like acronyms. I come from a life of corporate experiences where acronyms mean everything. No matter what you do, there's a and then when during the pandemic I started my podcast. It's 2021. I started the podcast, and peace and love. I know, and strongly what that means for you and how important that is in your life. No matter what's going on outside of us, we can still have the peace and love and grace within ourselves. And when you bring a bat, it's not about violence. It's all about bringing awesome thoughts. And that's where, you do that all the time, Elena, and, being authentic today. That's what the bat really means. And anybody knows me with my teal glasses, with the bat and all those things. I am who I am. There's a big flaws about me, but there's also, as you mentioned earlier, the big heart. And that's really what I love to share with everybody, the heart, because that's really where we're at. And that's why I love supporting this event, this Christmas in July. It's all about heart.
Yes, I love that. Well, first of all, acronyms, amen to that. I remember when I promoted in the corporate world and I sat in my first meeting and I thought, what the heck? Everybody's talking in acronyms and I have no idea. So I love acronyms too, but I love that you say BAT is what did you say?
Bringing awesome thoughts.
Yes.
Or being authentic today.
I love that. I love that. And I'm envisioning BAT, like, let's just knock it out. Well, I like your version better.
You do that. You're right. You're not knocking somebody else, but when you have the right balance, if you think about baseball, you can't hit when you're not balanced.
Yes.
And one of the things you have to do is learn balance. And what I also talk about is the sweet spot. It's that moment that you've done the best that you could, and you did the best. It might not be a home run, but it could be a line drive, at somebody.
Yeah.
But if you did the best that you could do, you can't do any better. Yeah. If you put all of your effort in and the results aren't always there, the results won't always be there.
Yeah.
But it's knowing that we did our best. We hit with the right balance. We knew what we did. And that's why I love the bat. It's a metaphor for so much about what we do and how we do some things.
I love that. I do. I really, really love that. So tell us about your business. Like, this is your time to, as a supporter of the Stream-a-thon, we've got two lines here. We do have your podcast and then On the Path. So just tell people a little bit more about what it is and who you serve, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So who I serve, it's all aligned. It's like an umbrella brand, right? So I do branding. I love helping people with their stories. And how I started out was with mental wellness. Through my own mental wellness, I learned a lot of techniques, and I became licensed in New York State for some things to help people with in stages of recovery, with recovery disease. And that's how I started. And a lot of people, it's tough to really have that conversation around mental wellness, and people want what they want. So I teach people how to create brand language. When you talk about the peace, love, and bring a bat, it's part of my brand language is using the sweet spot. When I say it's your time to soar, it's all of those things about leveling up. And leveling up is really about finding your message. Whatever message is yours. And you can't take away anybody's story, but how do you use it for really impact? And that's why, I say you need to have your own book. So I'm a ghostwriter. And that's where I've turned the mental wellness. A lot of people say, and you're an author, how hard it is to get your first book, but it's so easy after that because we learned the things we had to do, the methods we needed to have. And that's what I love doing, is teaching people what to do with their message and to make sure it's aligned. That's why everybody goes, I have to rebrand. You should never have to rebrand. It goes back to that authentic self. Yeah. You might want to have a different program. You want to have something different, that's fine. Figure out how it is. But when you create the right brand and the right story, nobody knows how powerful that is, right? Your Christmas in July, it means something to you. Other people might say it, but there's a meaning behind Elena's Christmas in July. Yeah. And that's part of a brand, right? When you talk about hope, that's not, those are the things that when you create the right language and why you create it, most people just kind of throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall. Yeah. And that's not what I'm in favor of. That's why I know we disagree on the compilation books. I would rather you build your own brand with an individual than a compilation. But if you can't do that, if the thought of that have I ever done compilation books? Sure. You have to get your story out.
Yeah.
The scariest part is is not the finish line, because there is no finish line. It's the starter's line. It's how you get through the starter's line, so that way you could start the race versus how you finish it. And there's a lot of different ways. And I think if you build it strong enough, you have that foundation, like the foundation of peace and love that I always talk about. If you have that strong foundation on what your brand is, what your story is, or how your story impacts others, it's fine, because it's not just about, like if you were just walking around, Elena, talking about, I was a widower, and the reason, some of the challenges and things that you found out, that's entertainment. Like, it's nice to hear. I feel bad for Elena, but Elena doesn't do that. Elena takes that to the next step. This is what happened to me, but let me teach you how you can also overcome. And that's where real branding and strong branding comes in. It's not just a name. It's, again, Christmas in July. What does that mean? That means we're going to tell stories, but we're going to teach people how to get through some of their darkest moments. It's not just saying I have a dark moment and this is what happened to me. That's a little bit, unfortunately, it's a little entertainment in my view. But I want to teach you people how I did it. Not only that I attempted suicide, but how I overcame. And since my suicide attempt, I've been a TEDx speaker. My podcast is in the top 1%, according to Listen Notes. I've done some things. I've published books. I don't just say I do these things. I show you that I do them, and I do them on a level that, in my expectation, is not many people do it.
That's amazing. Like that is what Christmas in July is for. We can all sit there and say we've had those rock bottom moments, and we can, but to come forward and say, I was there, I could have sat there, but here's what I chose to do with it. And that way, if somebody is tuning in that feels like they're in that rock bottom, that feels like it's too hard to get back up, hopefully over those 24 hours, they tune in and they're inspired to get back up, because those rough times can knock you down, but it's what we choose to do with it from that moment. And that's why I just, I love your heart. It's so huge. It's so huge. And we just connected right away. But I want to ask you, like, with your business and with your podcast, looking back, like, what actually inspired you to start it in the first place? Because I know you said that starting line, like, that's the hardest part, but how did you take that moment, and like, what inspired you to start it?
Well, how I originally started it is I put myself into therapy. I was going through some stuff, and when I started learning some of these techniques, God will bring us back to where we're supposed to be. I spent a year as a career in legal, but God knew I was supposed to help people. And that's really what it was. He reminded me, gave me little nudges, and sometimes he did bring a bat to me to learn. But it really goes back to the nudges. I mean, even recently, I ended a 30-year career. I started working with my best friend, Morris, and I took on another job, another responsibility. But that wasn't where I was supposed to just help Morris. I wasn't supposed to take on the responsibility. And I found that out 3 months ago when I had a heart scare. And God was like, here you go. This is a big heart scare. What are you going to do with it? And what I did is I said, Morris, I can't work with you anymore. The stress of not working with Morris was wonderful, but the stress of that job might have killed me. To be honest, 298% blockages. And that was just God going, here you go, buddy. We're gonna throw you out a little bit. We're gonna teach you. And it taught me. So now I'm doing this full time. I'd always been doing it on the side, but I'm seeing the results. This year is the year of the horse, the fire horse. We're running out, man. I'm doing and seeing things grow that we're just dreaming. I mean, even when I was in the hospital, I grabbed my laptop. I told my kids, bring me my laptop. And they, the nurses, what are you doing? You're going to work. You're not supposed to. I go, I'm writing a book. I swear to you, I'm writing a book. And that's exactly what I did. Is I had books in my laptop. This is the part that I want us to all think about. The stories that we have or the legacies we want to create is, if it's on your laptop, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Mm-hmm.
The cemetery is filled with unfulfilled promises. Here's one of the things. So one of the things, and I've talked about it. This is a passport. This is my friend Kevin's passport, who passed away in 2022. And when he passed away, that passport was in an envelope that was not open.
Wow.
And he had never traveled. He made a promise to himself, the passport of promise, and he didn't fulfill it. He didn't get to use his passport to then see the world open up. He didn't fulfill his promise. And that's why one of the missions I have is to make sure that I can help everybody. I don't let anybody sit around me who, if you have an idea, well, then why haven't you done it yet?
Yes.
And how can I support you? Because I've done that. A lot of these books. So when I was in that hospital 3 months ago, I just published them all, 4 books.
Yeah.
So, I had wrote them and I just needed to edit them. I didn't have time. They said, sit and rest. So I'm revisiting a lot of the things that I wrote over the years. I'm a prolific writer because when I'm by myself, I find people to hang out with. I give birth. I call it sometimes like I guess an author doula, in that I help people get those stories out. It's a story. Hearing your story really is where the power is, and it's not that I give it to you. I just show you the way, and through that allows you to feel comfortable with your story and knowing that people want to hear your story and the value of your story. And that's why the right branding, the right story, and doing it for yourself, there's the power that really comes into what happens. And that's where the real value is added into so many people.
Oh my gosh. I love all of that. We have Allegra on here. She says hello. We have Emilio Roman on here saying Dave is a powerful speaker. So yep, you got some fans here. But what I want to share with you, and you know what, we may get into this on the Stream-a-thon morning, but the mere fact that you can share that you had 2 blockages, 98%, and you're here doing well and able to talk about what you're doing with that whole experience. And the Stream-a-thon is actually here because I became widowed, but my husband didn't make it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He had one. Yep, he had one blockage, 99%, the widowmaker they call it, and he didn't make it. And so, but the rest of his heart was squeaky clean. So it's just that proof that you are here. You're here for a reason.
My 98% was on the widowmaker, and I was joking with the doctors. I was like, well, I'm single, so I'm not married. So I go, is that what saved me? That he goes, I don't know what it was. But I do believe it was God.
Yes.
I believe God kind of showed me, because the whole story behind that was that morning, 2 weeks before the surgery, I was watching Good Morning America. Sam Champion came on and was talking about that he found 2 blockages in his heart, and he goes to the gym all the time. Now, at that time, I was definitely heavier than I was now. And I was like, all right, man, I got to do this, man. I keep talking about it. I Googled cardiologist, my neighborhood, and the health coverage I have. This one doctor had an appointment at 3:00 that afternoon.
Wow.
2 days later, I go in and have that. So I give Sam Champion from Good Morning America a lot of credit for that. And then 2 days later, I failed my stress test. 2 weeks after that is when they did the with contrast in the cath lab, and they're like, yeah. I walked in there, everybody's joking. When I walked out, they're all quiet, and I'm like, what did I do, man? like 10 minutes. 3 hours later, the doctor called me, and he was like, listen, you gotta take care of yourself this weekend. And I go, yeah, I hear you. He goes, no, listen to me. Hold on a second. I'm putting you on speakerphone. I have my nurse here, and the legal background I have, I'm like, okay, he's covering his ass. Let's be honest. And he goes, I don't want you to do anything this weekend. And if you get sick, I want you to go straight to the emergency room.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. And he goes, I still want you to do the blood test on Saturday. I wake up Saturday morning early, and my heart felt like it was racing. And I go, well, the blood test could be done at the hospital. I go to the hospital, and they go, guess what? You have a weekend getaway right here in Plainview, New York, in the hospital. And that's what I did. So I edited books, and then Monday morning they went in. And I don't know about you, I love medical programs. Yeah, and
no, I'm not one of those.
I love it. And so I've seen the angiogram before, or at least what it looks like on them. But I got to tell you, when it's your heart and you're the guy laying on the table, whew, that will tell you something, the story a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want anybody to do that. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because I want everybody who hears this to check out themselves. If you haven't gone to a doctor, guys, let's do it. Because that's why I started the On the Path and stuff like that. I knew men needed to talk about mental wellness, and it's still a struggle. But if you're not going to talk about mental wellness, I got you. I'm still here. But I want you to talk about your real wellness, because we don't know. We don't want to be like your husband, your former husband.
That's why I say you can be here for breakfast and gone by lunch, because that's literally how fast it happened. Even though he stayed in ICU for 25 days, it was horrible. It was horrible watching that experience until I had to decide to turn the machines off. And it was Christmas Eve that he ended up passing. So yes, go get checked, do the things, talk about it, because not everybody can be here sharing the story like you are.
I mean, similar to like your husband, where those two blockages, right? It would have been major. My heart is strong. I didn't have a heart attack, thank God. The rest of my heart is relatively clean. It's like 20%. Like I'm 57. So it's there's stuff. I like Big Macs. But now I don't. So even my ice cream, I haven't had. I've had ice cream I think twice in the past 3 months, which is not my normal pattern. But you change your patterns. I eat mushrooms now. So guys and everybody and women also. So women's mortality rate is also because we don't check ourselves as Americans and all that stuff. We just go, oh, it's not going to happen to me, and it will, and it eventually does. We play chances, but I want everybody to get checked out, because I'd love to be somebody's Sam Champion. Because I've reached out to Sam Champion, I haven't heard back from him, but I want to hear, Dave, you saved my life, not because of the ego, because I just believe there's a saying in the Talmud which says, if you save one person, you save the world. And I want to make sure that while my time is here, is to sponsor people like you. The ironic part, you keep saying, everybody says, man, you have a great heart. I'm like, well, it almost took me out. But the great part is that the part that almost took me out, I'm fixing. I'm rebuilding my engine is how I talk about it. But it's also what we do with it. My heart is good. The doctors even say it. My cholesterol, my all the numbers that they talk about, they're like, how did you do that? You drop down 30, 40 points. And I'm like, dude, I told you. They thought I was ignoring them in the hospital when I said, it's done. That's what I want everybody out there to listen to for themselves with their stories. I want you to sit, if you have not had your first book, I want you to be like, it's done. I'm going to do it. Get it done. If not by me, there's a million other people in our communities. Elena will help you. It doesn't have to be me. It's not about me. My message is to make sure that we all leave this place so much better than we are. I mean, that's that when your heart says it's your time to soar, man, soar. It feels great to fly.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. So speaking of, because this is our sponsor spotlight, do tell people if they are feeling called to start sharing that story, what does that look like if people want to contact you, or what's that next conversation look like, so that they aren't really afraid to just reach out and talk to Dave and find out how do I get my story out there? Where do I begin?
Well, what I do is I offer everybody 1 hour free, right? I don't even, there's no pitch. So you want to sit with me for an hour, I will give you a roadmap. Now, a lot of people, including our mentor, says you don't give them the roadmap, because then when they fail, then they're going to say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, no, the roadmap is not, right? It's a roadmap. I'm not going to tell you about construction. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you how to do it based on what you do. That's the real idea. Is that's why you hire people. You want the free thing, man? I'll give you free things. You want to just take that roadmap in your hand and walk aimlessly because you think you know what branding is, or you're going to change your colors. It's not about the colors, but it is about your message. And while a roadmap might help you a little bit, I guarantee you, I mean, everybody, I mean, ask Tina Kadish. We have that, I saw her, on there. Ask her what the impact of sitting with an hour for me was. Speak to some of those other people. And that's the value. Like I just give because I want everybody to be helping. If I can lift everybody else up, again, I know God has repaid me by letting me live. I mean, again, I attempted suicide. This heart attack thing, this heart thing, it all could have gone so much different.
Yeah.
And through the grace of God, I'm still here. And that's why if you don't work with me, but I helped you along the way, God will reward us. I mean, that's why you and I have had that conversation. It might not be financial. I don't worry always about financial. God has always taken care of me. I have been blessed throughout my life, and that's why I love sponsoring this. Right? We spoke this week. I was like, man, I'm always a sponsor. Come on.
And I was like, no, just come on in and open up the show.
I'm like, yeah, but there's going to be somebody who needs what you're able to bring that I'm not going to see. They're not going to. I don't want to work with that crazy guy. He has a mullet. He has a teal glasses. He's weird. Guilty as charged. But the people who work with me do know that there's a magic behind it also.
Yes.
And because I give, I don't know if you know, and I haven't really publicized. I got to get better at getting my messages out there. One of the books I just published in the twist is all the proceeds go to the Joseph P. Faber Memorial. So, I want everybody to kind of, I'd love everybody to get a copy of it, or just donate to them. Don't worry about the book. I'm not worried about the Amazon titles and crap like that. That doesn't mean anything. I want impact. And that's what I give to my clients, as well as showing up like this. And that's why I can't wait, because I hear Santa's coming soon.
Yeah, Santa's coming soon. But real quick, where can people go get that if they want? Is it on Amazon?
It's all on Amazon. Yeah, all my books are on Amazon. There's like 15 books on Amazon that I've authored by myself.
Nice.
And,
So if they go to Amazon, can they just like look up your name and
the great thing about David Chametzky, that last name, that there aren't. I mean, my great uncle and I have other family members who have authored books, but I think I'm the only David Chametzky on Amazon, and if not, reach out to me. I'll give you the links, and I'll tell you exactly. There's a story behind each one of those books, and it's again not the story that I wrote. It's the story that's in there. How we can. What knowledge we have. They're all fiction books, but it's, we know it. We love being that fly on the wall in somebody's life, but let's also make sure that we show up in our own lives.
That's a big one. Let's make sure that we show up in our own lives. Like, that is huge. So one more question, you've answered some of my questions. Number one was why do you like to support the Stream-a-thon? But you answered that. So I want to circle back and just ask you, what is something exciting and new going on in your space right now? And of course, you've talked about your recovery and the things you've released. What are you looking forward to? What's next?
Man, I just keep looking. I keep trying to push the envelope. I mean, my podcast, again, we made the top 1% in the world on listen notes.
That's amazing.
Like, it's crazy. I have more books, so I'm looking to get on more stages, to real have impact. Again, it's not my message. It's not mine. I teach people the philosophy behind peace, love, and bring about. I have other philosophies, and what I'm going to be rolling out in the next couple of months is a lot of videos that I've had created on programs on how to be a phoenix and rise yourself out of the ashes. So that's probably the next thing. But I just love getting out there and really impacting people. So anybody who needs guidance, career guidance, or anything like that, just know, I've been there. I mean, a lot of people like in our community don't know who I am, in the sense of I've had 35 years of corporate experience where I ran budgets of upwards of $100 million. And I ran trial teams related to some of the biggest pharmaceutical products in the world.
Wow.
And that's what I come down to. That's what I know, and I can offer so much value that you just scratch the surface. It's not that I can do everything. I can't, but I know I have such a unique set of skills that it's worth that hour of time. I mean, I'm like, it doesn't cost you anything, and check out David Chametzky.
Yeah, there you go. So for people, and I love that, because we always learn something. I didn't know about that. And I kind of feel the same way when it looks like, people think I just came out and did this, but it's like, no, I owned a fitness studio for 14 years. Like I ran a brick and mortar, business for that many years. But sometimes those things, they hardly come out until they're meant to come out. Right. But for people that want to book that free hour with you, is there a website? Is there a link? Like where's the easiest place for them to find it?
You go to davidchametzky.com.
Okay.
And from there you can get to my calendar. I know I'm fairly booked through the summer. I mean, I've been blessed. Life has really blessed me in so many ways. And then on top of that, it looks like I'm going to go for a humanitarian mission outside the country in August. So I
am so happy for you.
I am so blessed. God has given me back my life, and I promise God, I just pay it forward. I have to, praise God and just know that everything I do is because of the abilities that I was given.
And because he's got you here. So obviously he's not finished with you yet. I love that. Well, you are going to be opening up and I probably shouldn't put that out there, but you are opening up the show once again. And for anybody that is just tuning in and doesn't really know what's going on, we are going to be streaming live for 24 hours this coming weekend, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern on July 11th and running through 10 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, July 12th. And David, I'm honored, and I am so excited to have you open us up and share, like, from our hearts and honestly to On the Path New York and the Peace, Love, and Bring the Bat podcast. Just thank you so much for your sponsorship and your support once again this year.
All right. Well, thank you. And just keep doing what you're doing. Because like I always say, you definitely swing it and you definitely hit your sweet spot by doing exactly what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to play our song, End Out, and we will see you on Saturday.